Thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time to shine with your host, Prophetess T. Hey guys, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are on God's green earth. Once again, I want to thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it is your time to shine with me, your hostess, Prophetess T, and my co-host. We've brought back again this week, Briston Burns. How you doing, bruh?
I'm great. I'm great. Glad to be back again.
I am so excited about this whole conversation. But guys, before we get started, once again, I want to remind you that this is going to be raw conversation. So if you have children in the room, or if you would rather watch this before you allow your children to see it, I suggest you do that, because we're going to talk about some things that, we need to talk about in the church. Amen. So hit that share button, invite your friends, family, neighbors, foes, whatever, into the room, and let's have this conversation. So we had started talking about Christian dating. Is that such a thing? And if it is, how does it look? And I decided to invite my brother Briston into the conversation because I observed his relationship at the time before he was married, and I seen fruit. I seen healthy fruit. So I was like, you know what, from a man's perspective, let me pull this brother in here and let's have a little conversation and get into this good tea, right? So we wanted to pick up from where we left off last time, and we actually had, it got so good. um he put some things out there for y'all to weigh out, and I hope this week you did. We talked about how dating looked, what is the purpose of dating. We kind of touched on that. We kind of talked about allowing your younger adults or your adolescents to get involved in relationship with the opposite sex. We kind of talked about a little bit of everything, but I think we want to, at this point, we really want to talk about what is the purpose. If you are seeking to date someone as a Christian, and we're talking about from the Christian perspective, because we do things differently, guys, than the world. We're supposed to stand out. We're supposed to look different than the world. And so I'm bringing this to you from the Christian perspective. Once again, there is nothing that we can state that is biblically in the Bible about dating. If you looked up that word, you wouldn't find it, but it does cover relationships. And
Mhm.
also, we want to make sure you understand that, let God convict your spirit on this. We're not here to judge. This is a safe place. We're giving you something to think about. It's not, it's written in stone that thou must, that we're not telling you you're going to hell, or that you're committing a sin, however you're doing it. Holy Spirit should be convicting you on whatever you're doing. But we want to give you some knowledge and perhaps maybe some wisdom, or and even some revelation as the Holy Spirit leads us in this conversation. We're just having good old, brother and sister conversation about Christian dating. So we were talking about a little bit before we got started, Briston, about the purpose. So let's talk about this. What really should be the purpose of why we date?
Absolutely. So, just picking up for those of you that were in the previous episode, I had mentioned that when I was wanted to date my now wife, my pastor came on and he asked, he said, Briston, what is this unto? You know, is this unto marriage? And so, really put the idea in my head, or really to think, like, okay, I haven't stepped into that place of becoming exclusive, like exclusively dating to where, there is no other but Kari, or there can be no other but Kari. This isn't just a friend zone type thing anymore. It's now exclusively dating. But to have in my mind of if this is unto marriage, then that also had to mean that this isn't just casual dating. This isn't what I found to be a norm in culture. Oh, you just date, you just see how it works out. Like, no, this is dating to marry. So, to answer the question, I think that Christian dating is dating to marry. It's there's no point in dating or courting, whichever word you want to use. There's no point in doing that if there's not intentions in the heart and in the mind to marry that person.
And that I think that was a good valid point. And then I know that even in our conversation about this, we had started talking about we kind of quoted a Song of Solomon. I think it's the second chapter, verse 7. It's about three places, different places in that book where it talks about not awakening um up. Let's see, let me say it right, why it says that we shouldn't awaken love until it pleases. So, can we kind of touch on why we're stating that, like you said, until you knew you were actually ready to commit to a single individual? I want to say that that's why your pastor suggests, well, where is this going? What is your
Hmm.
purpose? What's the purpose behind this dating? So,
Hmm.
and I believe that this is where we would say in scriptural context, this is one of the reasons why. So, what's your take on why that scripture states that?
I think that for what we've read, don't awaken love before it's time. That there's a whole process, right, of what's happening. Don't awaken. Um, to awaken, it kind of gives me a visual of, you know, there's someone on the other side of the door that's asleep, and something's lying dormant. And if I start knocking at that door, I'm trying to enter. I'm trying to walk into a place that I shouldn't have access to.
That's it.
I shouldn't have access to. So don't awaken love before it's time. There's there, you know, don't give and don't awaken, but on the other side, this is just a side note. On the other side, it is don't prematurely give the invitation. So even as we talk about, men pursuing women and knowing that men are givers, I feel like we're the ones knocking. We're the ones sometimes that have the tendency to be making that attempt to awaken love before it's time. And women on the other side, though, it's that thing with don't prematurely give an invitation to receive something that shouldn't be received. You know what I mean? So this is obviously in a context of not just sexual intercourse, but even some emotions, even some deep parts of someone that they shouldn't have access to. For example, it was my second date. It was my second date with Kari that I found myself putting all of my junk on the table before her, because for me it was important. So, and this to me is an example of I'm testing the waters here. Um, I'm gonna let you know this. I'm gonna let you in on this, something that not a whole lot of people know. My close tribe, knows or whatever. But I just want to see how you handle this. And for me, how it was handled was an indicator of, okay, this is it. This is again a confirmation that she's the one, because I knew from the Lord that the person that I was making covenant with could handle me past, present, and future.
Come on, that's good.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
um, so again, but this is me with the mindset of I'm dating to marry. And so I'm not necessarily awakening the type of love that's leading to sex, but I was knocking at the door to say, let me see, I'm gonna let you in on something that's intimate. But if you've got no intentions to marry, there'll be no point in having that deep conversation. Does it make sense? No point in
Yeah.
saying, you know what, I want you to see. into me, into this depth in this depth of me. Because at that depth, what I'm also asking you for is, can you trust me and can I trust you? Can you love me knowing that this was me, and based upon your response, does it welcome me to continue to love you? So even in that sort of awakening love, it's like it was giving permission to love, but again, with the intention that I'm gonna marry. But imagine someone stepping in that direction and they're 14, 15, and talking about all kind of whatever with no intentions, not even at that point about intention, not intentionally, wanting to marry, but not even knowing how to process the heavy things. Not that, don't get me wrong, teenagers, not that you don't go through heavy stuff, not that you haven't had bad things happen, to you, at a young age or whatever, but you have to be careful how you even handle those sensitive stories. You have to be careful even in who you share those things with, because sharing that with the wrong person or someone that's immature can cause even more hurt and trauma to occur, because you're hoping that they're going to, love you through that, or give you some sense of affirmation, or even be a healing voice to you, but they end up being the complete opposite in immaturity, because they don't understand, didn't want to understand, or now have simply said, ew, I don't, whatever the case may be. Now you're back, sitting back, hurt and broken. But the reason
Right,
why that occurred was because love was being awakened at the wrong time.
right. And I do like, um, I can't remember the statement. I thought I don't think I brought the right book that you made about entering me. The intimacy is I'm giving
Hmm.
you permission to enter me.
Yeah, into me
And
you
meaning,
see.
yeah. So that
Yeah.
means that um in maturity, like you said, you're going to be able, when I open up to you, to be able to handle my past, and who I am now. Um, but I think also what you have to know as far as your maturity level is, can you handle the heaviness of whatever may be presented to you? And I think that um, when we're younger, so to speak, we're more in emotion responses than we
Hmm.
are in, how about we heal? um how do I help you to heal? If I'm going to walk side by side, how do I help you to release that thing so that it doesn't eat away at you mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and all those kind of ways? How do I process that? And I think when we're younger, we're not thinking like that. All we're thinking is, oh, I want to save, I want to keep you safe. But really, what
Hmm.
can I keep you safe if I'm living with my mom and daddy too?
Right. Right.
How can I really be your protector if I myself haven't even learned who I am, my identity, my strength,
Hmm.
what I have to offer? How can I
Hmm.
handle, where this is going? Um,
Hmm.
I know that in that, and like you said, in the fun of it, in our youthfulness, exploring and, puppy love manifesting, or it getting into something that we think is more serious. Like, I loved it him and can't do without him. I had that, and rolling around on the floor, acting crazy, like getting my mom's car and driving to his house, blowing up his cell phone. That right there just showed the immaturity of it. Because if
Hmm.
you are desired, never should you chase. You shouldn't have
All
to
right.
chase to be desired. If somebody desires or wants to be with you, you should never be made to feel like, I wonder, you know, it,
So
at least to me.
one thing that you mentioned there, even about, our issues that can be brought into relationship, issues that can be brought into the realm of dating, and I recognize that none of us are perfect, right? But we are striving to be there, in Christ and through His grace. and
Mhm.
through the empowerment of Holy Spirit. Um, but and I may be a little bit different. This may not be everyone's expectation or everyone's goal, but I often tell or told my wife in the beginning when things would come up, or I'd refer back to things that happened when we were dating, different conversations that we would have, and had to do a lot of work on me. Holy Spirit had to do a lot of work on me. I went through some counseling sessions just because I'm all about, self-help and wellness and mindfulness, all of that good stuff. Because here's what you in maturity and in the purpose of dating to marry, here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to bring half of myself to the table.
That's good.
And I cannot bring my entire self to the table, knowing that half of me is broken and expect the person that I'm dating to fix me.
That is really good.
In Christian dating, those of us that want to commit to doing Christian dating, let's also commit to we're going to take our broken pieces before the Lord, and if necessary before the psychologist, and if necessary before the certified counselor, and if necessary before whomever it is, whomever that person that we need to confess some things to, want to know that we can be healed, whatever that healing process is. Let's commit to saying that we're going to go through that before I say that I want to be in covenant with someone. That's just I'm just putting that out there because I think that it's very possible as we talk about Christian dating, we talk about the statistics of even now in marriages being ruined. How much of that is happening because two became one, but in reality, the one was never whole.
Right there, sir.
So how was the one ever in a place of receiving each other in totality?
That's good.
So this is again in this place of dating. The dating is not just about how I feel towards someone. It's not just about or even what I'm attracted to. This is what we have to be careful with this law of attraction. We can't just look at something and because we beheld it and it looked good and because I'm drawn to it, then this must be good for me.
That's good.
I mean,
That's really
y'all let me know if I'm misquoting it. I hadn't been in Genesis in a while, but but Eve heard something and she saw something and was attracted to something and decided to eat of that thing when she had already been told,
right.
keep your hands off. How many of us in the realm of dating in the past, or maybe you're in that position now, to where you heard that small voice on the inside of you that said, don't knock on that door. Don't attempt to awaken that. I know it looks good. I know it sounds good. I know it even smells good when they walk by, but don't do it.
Mm,
Don't open it. And then you open it and you're enticed by something that was never meant for you. And then you put the label of dating on it. And now you begin to date and now it feels good. And because it feels good, you think it must be right. And so since it must be right, let's just go ahead and jump in this thing all the way. And then you get married, even so, and then 10 years later you find out, oh my gosh, I was never supposed to be with you.
huh. And Briston, if I could just jump in on that,
Oh
I
please,
also think
sorry.
about that. No, you're good because you were making me think. And when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about when we come to Christ in our newness of that. Um, Everybody's first thing they want to get to is, well, I don't know what my purpose is. But you have not developed the relationship part, the intimacy part between you and God. That you haven't built that up. You because first God wants to deal with you
Absolutely.
so that you can have a healthy relationship with him.
Absolutely.
When God when you're drawn to God, he's even slow in and moving about getting that deep with you and allowing you access to certain things. That's why we get told, be cautious, because sometimes we can lay hands too quickly on somebody because we see something in them
Hmm.
and we
Hmm.
can put them into positions and places that they're not equipped for. Correct. If I'm corrected.
Hmm.
Correct. And that, I think, is the same thing with us. Sometimes we move too swiftly because the desire is there.
Yeah.
And then of course you got the church coming in saying, well, when you getting married, like you said, when you having kids, who you dating, why you by yourself, how long you gonna stay there with your mama and daddy, who? But let's why don't we ask God the process? Is that person even supposed to be doing that? Because
Hmm.
we don't know the internal story, we don't know
Hmm.
the heart of the individual. We all put on, a front for people, but not everybody has access to everything. And when you get into an intimate relationship, which if the man is supposed to love the wife like Christ loves the church, then that's raw stuff. Like you said,
Yeah.
that's every part of me. That's the dark, deep part of me. Can you handle that?
Yes. Yes.
So in order for you to be able to handle that, you got to be whole. And then
Yeah.
that person might not be healthy enough to be with you, and could damage
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
So we got to think about that. Do you have a clear understanding of that? I'm watching somebody in a relationship now that's not happy, but they've committed themselves to purchasing a home with that person, and now they're not truly, honest to God, happy about it, but they're vested, so they don't want to
Yeah.
jump out.
Yeah.
But they're broken, and they've so busy to jump into a relationship, haven't dealt with closing the doors or mending the broken pieces of their past, so that
Yeah.
they can have a really good, healthy relationship with the person. And then another thing, like you said, when you get into a relationship where now you feel like you're ready to take that step, I also wonder, is it safe for two to even, get into what I told you I say is petting? I know that's an old fashioned word, but now what happens when the possibility of that is being stirred within you?
Right.
Is it the right mindset of why that's being stirred?
Yeah, I think that you really have to, as they say, tread lightly. You have to be careful because it's crazy. I mean, I love how James talks about how we're drug away and we are enticed by our own desires,
Hmm.
I don't need to say that. I was about to preach on something, but anyway, we're drug away by our own desires, and so when you talk about that petting, it is stirring. It's stirring desire. It's stirring desire up the more and more and more that takes place. And in a way, if there can be a tip given, a way to even try to come to yourself and ask the question, like, what in the world am I doing? If you can look back at that person and that you're petting, that desires are beginning to stir up with, and you mentioned the word purpose, and I think it's so fitting for the conversation, is ask that person, what is your purpose? Ask that person, or can you tell, are you walking in your purpose? And why do I say that? Because again, if we're going to follow the model that Christian dating is dating unto marriage, what was going on with Adam and Eve?
Hmm.
How did, when Eve came on the scene to Adam, what was Adam doing? Adam was walking in his purpose. He was out there naming the animals when Eve came on the scene. So Eve was introduced to Adam, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I don't have my Bible in front of me, but Eve was introduced to Adam while he was walking in purpose.
That sounds so good.
He was so what are we talking about that we want to even date into marriage and you don't even know what God's called you to? if we just want to be real about it, I know some of y'all think, oh, you being too deep, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, well, you go ahead and you get married and find yourself what. And you said something earlier too. I may just be a unique individual. You said it in the first episode. I am a unique individual. I will claim that. I will own that. I will wear it as a badge of honor. But one thing I told Kari on the first date, and this may be an indicator that I'm not out here to play games. I'm not out here to have a feel good night. I'm not out here for any of that. I'm serious about my time, and I'm serious about who I invest my time with. And fellas, y'all might disagree with this. I've had a few of my brothers and some coworkers that we've gotten into these kind of conversations, and they've disagreed, and that's okay. But I told Christ, I said, listen, I said, what you see is what you get, and I will not roll out any red carpet. And what I meant by that was not that I won't do nice things for you, not that I won't be have chivalry and open the door for you, but what I do mean is that mask T that you talked about earlier, you won't see a mask. What I do mean is that I'm not going to suddenly, oh, it's date night. Let's make sure we get all dazzled up and do the best we can. Run up the credit card bill as if I'm making so and such money a week or whatever. No, I'm not pulling out a red carpet. I'm going to do what I can do, what's within my means. I'm going to be me, and this is dating into marriage. Because if you
Boy,
can't handle me in this, if I'm even in a low place, if you can't handle me here, you won't know how to steward me when I'm making six figures.
come on. You got a twin in the other room. That was our conversation too, because I mean, even before we met in person, we actually started that type of conversation. Like I asked him, I said, "Do you have the desire, to remarry? Do you have the desire to want to have kids?" Because I wanted to know where this was going. Because I knew I have always known I was wife. I've never been girlfriend. I've known that. That has been something that I believe God placed in me. I knew I was going to be a helpmeet to someone. I made bad choice on the first one. Um, and like you said, everything in me was being ignited to say, "Woo, this ain't you."
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
mom prophesied it over me. I tell her that all the time. She did not know her calling, but she told me right after I got baptized. I got baptized when I was 16. She says, "Honey, let me tell you, the devil is watching, and he's going to set you up because he now sees that you love the Lord and you're committed to following in Jesus' footsteps. He's going to send you a pretty white package with a red bow around it, and here
Hmm.
comes this pale little white boy with red hair." Boy, I was set up. I was like, "Mom, you spoke that over my life." But getting back to the mountain that I jumped off of just a minute ago, Danny was like that. He told me, he said, "I want to tell you something." He said, "I'm not that dude that does the flowers in the car thing." He said, "I'm just being real for you." Because he said, "If it's something that I can't maintain all the time, I don't want to start it. And I don't want you to,
Absolutely.
to get that." And plus, he says, "I like
Absolutely.
to be more of sporadic and surprising." And I told him, I said, "Okay, that I will accept, but I'm that girl." But I had to also look at it. Is that something I would deal with, or was it something that was just like, "No, I won't
Hmm.
settle for that." And this is
Hmm.
the whole process too. When you're having these conversations, you're seeing it is what I need for my purpose to walk out, to continue in where God has it. Is this person going to be the type of person that is going to be needy? And if God calls me to do this and this, would this person be able to walk alongside with me? With this person, because even though God gives us the call to whatever, how can two walk together unless they agree?
Right.
You know, and will this person? And this is where I think as Christians we fail, and this is why you see 50% of Christian marriages ending in divorce. Is like I believe that the desire is there, but we get into awakening something that's not ready to be awakened in us because we're not whole. when we're dealing
Mm,
with that relationship. We haven't taken the time to study to show thyself approved.
mm.
um,
So that you have to forgive me. There's so many things I'm over here writing down. You're saying
Go
stuff,
ahead.
and things
We're
are
talking.
coming, and so I'm gonna just we'll just I got three things here.
Okay.
Um, so you mentioned about that um, you weren't the girlfriend. You were the wife, and that just speaks volumes to me because what are you really saying? You're saying that okay, this time around, I know my identity and I'm not out here to be somebody's girlfriend. You
Mhm.
said I'm out here to be a helpmate. And so all generations, that are stepping into dating, that are stepping to Christian dating, what identity are you stepping into that with? Are you
Mm.
stepping into that with the identity of girlfriend or boyfriend, or are you stepping into that with the identity of wife or husband, helpmate or provider, or whatever the roles are at this point in society? The husband's not always the sole provider, and I'm okay with that. By the way, I'm okay with that. That's not how it is in our house, but I'm okay with that. I told Kari all the time, listen, you want to go promote and become the manager, become the CEO, I got no issue with that. I'm still gonna do my thing that God's called me to do. But if that means you become the breadwinner, hey, there is no there's no striving here to beat you in that area. And even to that note, um, this part, the word manage really sticks out to me for some reason. Of don't awaken love before it's time. I really think a reason why it's imperative that we don't do that is because we don't know how to manage the
Well,
weightiness of
right.
love.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't know how to manage it. God is not, God, the Lord is good, and and everything that He gives is good. And when it's in His timing, it's always good. But a lot of times, you notice you go through stepping stones in life, and you go through processes, and you go through seasons where you're having to learn. You're having to learn how to discern. You're learning how to manage. Adam was in a place of managing. He
That's
was
good.
managing what God had assigned to him.
That's good.
And even in that place was the reason why he said, okay, you doing your thing, but I'm asking you to do, you need a helpmate. So let me talk to the men. Men, we've got to be able to manage. Whether you make the money or not, we got to be able to manage. And if we cannot manage ourselves, and this isn't just about finances, but if we cannot manage ourselves emotionally, if we're not regulated in our minds, if we don't know how to uh, um, have the conversation and put it in the right package without becoming escalated and having the emotions that tear a woman down, that has that kind of voice that just breaks a woman down, we're not ready. And vice versa. We're not ready. And I don't know who that's for, but that's for somebody that's either watching this now or you're going to watch this a little bit later on. You're having issues with the packaging of the delivery of your words, and it's not because of how your mama talked to you. It's not because of how your daddy talked to you. It's because you have not learned how to manage self.
Very good. We got a
And
question.
this is oh go yeah
I can't. From your
from your
perspective,
perspective.
go ahead.
How would a single parent that is trying to prepare for the right person handle dating? How would a single person that is trying to prepare for
A
dating?
parent,
Uh,
somebody with a
Parent.
child already.
Okay. You want to take that, T, or you want me to?
Well, I was gonna say, I think one thing we most, of course, as a parent, you want to make sure you're protecting your child from seeing a rotating door
Mm.
within your household. So I think that, like you were saying, as far as managing, so the conversations that we need to have, do we know that we're visual people. First thing most likely that's going to get you is your attraction to the person physically. Um uh and but do we have the conversations like, where do you see this? What is the purpose of you and I getting together? Do you ask that conversation so you know where the other person's mindset is? Do you even
Mm.
ask them something as far as being a Christian? Where do you where is your purpose? Do you know your calling and what you're walking into? And I think as a parent, you don't want to expose your child to that relationship uh
Mhm.
anytime quickly. And like I said, I don't think it should be that your child even sees a revolving door situation. So I would use, all discretion as far as engaging your child into that relationship um for that. And then also knowing how the person feels about kids, feels about you, the understanding of
Yes.
what you came out of and why you're in the situation you're in. Can they
Yeah.
handle the weight of that? Because now they're not only
Yes.
dating or getting into a relationship with you, there's also another person on the sideline they have to be engaged with, which is going to be that
Absolutely.
child's other parent, if that parent, plays a part in that process. So
Absolutely.
that hard
And
conversation needs to be had.
yes. And that's to my the last point, 3 out of 3 now, um, of don't be unequally yoked.
Huh.
And I hear a lot of people say unequally yoked means, um, a Christian dating a non-Christian, a Christian marrying a non-Christian. Y'all, it's not that. That's fine. That we can say yes, it's it, but it's not just that. Being unequally yoked would mean to the person that asked the question in your preparation for this, make sure that this is a person that isn't selfish. That as much time as they want to spend with you, they want to spend with your kid. Because if all they want is you and they want every time you turn around, they want a babysitter for the kid, every time, it's date night or whatever, there might be some selfishness in play, and that may become a thing where it's unequally yoked because at this point, due to your circumstances, it's not just you anymore. Now, yes, eventually y'all need some alone time, XYZ, you will, but hey, that kid that's involved, in this, it's imperative that that person that's potentially entering into a relationship, or that you potentially, if we're again Christian dating, if we are dating to marry, that you potentially going to be in covenant with, that person's not just in covenant with you, they're also covenant with your kid.
Absolutely. So there is the commitment level too. And I think the thing that we need to point out that's the most important is, what is their relationship with God like? Because I mean, that's supposed to be the threefold of the relationship is God. So are they in a place where they're spiritually healthy? What I mean, the guest that we're gonna have on next week is also unique as to her relationship, which what makes their relationship unique was they long distance dated. I'm talking about like different continents for 2 years.
Wow.
2 years. And well, I can't wait to share why I say that that's why what piqued my interest in having her come on is really, I think the one thing that you brought up is, do I, if I'm away from that person, if I see the relationship getting to that point where I think that I feel that this is the one, or I'm not sure if that's really what I'm feeling, taking the break and spending maybe a little sabbatical away from that person and seeing, is that longing there, and is it lustful longing, or is it longing because I feel complete when I'm with you? Like, we can have long conversations about nothing, and where there's no empty dead space, or we can sit and say nothing and still be satisfied. And then even like you said, if you're dealing with a parent dating again, does that person even take an interest in your kid or children? Do they ask, hey, what's going on with your kids? Do they know your kid's name? Do they take an interest? Do you see them engaging um, with your children when they're around, or are they trying to get them pushed off and out the room or to the side or whatever? So
Hmm.
the little red flags, the little foxes, do we pay attention to those signals in this process? And I think, like you said, I think we need to stop titling it that we're boyfriend and girlfriend. I
Hmm.
think courting would be the thing to say. And when you know that you're ready for to get to the point of seriousness, now you can say that you're committed. We can have that conversation. Look, I'm really just interested in you, and how do you feel about that? And this is my intent, so you know where we're going with
Hmm.
this. Because, like I told you, I made it clear right off the bat. I'm interested in being married again. I told
Hmm.
him that. So, what is your intent? Because I didn't.
Hmm.
I don't. I felt like I didn't want. I'd done that. I think if you want to say boy a friend, girl a friend, let's just be friends. Let's not
Right.
get into the weightiness of committing to anything when I myself don't even know what I'm going to be yet.
Exactly.
Or a puberty has just started within me, and that to me can hit at 50. I know some people that still ain't hit puberty, and just by the way they're carrying themselves. I mean, and asking those questions, I still think, do we talk about finances? How well do you manage finances? Because now I got to think about the stability of who's going to be trusted and handle that. If you don't feel that's your strength, are you okay with somebody else that is more, stable minded in that, or blessed or
Hmm.
anointed in that? Are you okay if there was to be a shift in the relationship? I I lose my job. Would you be okay if you had to carry for a while? Because like I said,
Hmm.
this is I tell everybody all the time, there's never to me, you want to say we're both given 100, but sometimes it's not there. Sometimes it's 80-20. you know. I have to be, gracious because there are days that he has terrible treatment days. And and I might have had a crappy day at work, but because here's once again the words of what is love. Love is selfless. It's patient. It doesn't look for its own interest. It doesn't keep track of the injury. Have I learned that outside of being married to somebody? Have I done that in relationship with my brother, my
Hmm.
sister, my mother? Because if I ain't even forgiven or showed grace to them, how am I going to do it when I'm stuck in a relationship with somebody that sees every part of me? Um,
Right.
if I'm a person that Danny had to learn, I had some quirks. I chew gum and set it down anywhere. You know how is he gonna put up with me if he don't have my patience? Because I do some eccentric stuff. You know, if you're a person that throws your dirty clothes all over I mean, how are you going to do that if you don't haven't learned long suffering, patience, not looking for your own interest, um um and learning, like you said, to be a person who knows how to communicate. And when I say a communicator, you got to learn how to listen, and not just
Absolutely.
listen to hear, but listen through,
Yes.
because
Yes.
sometimes people don't know how to verbalize what it is that's really going on. So you got to listen to get to it.
Yes. So, Danny Freeman posted a comment here saying people may feel the title girlfriend or boyfriend entitles them to the milk without buying the cow.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love that because again, as we talk about, and Kari and I just had a conversation about this a few days ago, just some of the differences between covenant and contract, right? With a
Mhm.
contract that says, well, I'll do this and I'm going to expect this in return, or you do this and I'll do that. So because I'm your boyfriend, I'm expecting that I'm going to get, this milk. But the identity of a husband or the identity of a wife says, no, you don't get to receive something because of the title that you carry. No, you if you want this, if you want to be treated this way, if you want to have this esteemed regard or honor, this has got to be a covenant. This has got to be a covenant thing. This has got to be a thing where there's a ring on it. You know, there's it's husband and wife. So I love that because having that, knowing some of these things ahead of time when you go into Christian dating, it basically uh it rejects fraudulent activity.
Huh, that's a word, sir. That can preach itself.
It it rejects fraudulent activity. You know,
That can preach
where
itself.
you're not gonna fake yourself out of it out through this because of what little side benefits you're getting. You
And I
know,
think that's good too, um, because I've been shocked by this, the younger, people that are coming up now that think it's, like, even okay, um well, for one, what's wrong with being celibate in your relationship until you do get married? Now they've got some that I've spoke with are under the impression like, how do I know we're going to be right together, or how do I know it's going to be any good together? And that's another reason why the word says don't awaken, something that's in, because then you have an imbalance here, because you might get with somebody that's inexperienced, and you've had all this experience, and now your expectation, because you're rather it in your subconscious, you might start comparing.
right.
And I think once again it is being educated to understand the weight of what love means, because we do have to learn each other's love language. And
Mhm,
as relationships change and develop over years, children come into play. Now, you gotta learn the role of being mommy and daddy and not just us anymore. And then what happens when your children are grown and you're empty nesters? Now you find out if you really like each other again or not,
mm,
because the kids
mhm,
have been a distraction. So that's where we talk about, you got to intentionally make sure you're dating in your
mhm,
process of marriage, so that when that does manifest, your kids are out the house, you do like each other.
mhm.
you
Absolutely,
know? So
absolutely. And I think in all of that, and I think in all of that, it comes down to that word pursuit, right?
mhm.
I mean, we forever have to be pursuing each other, and this is really, I mean, this is a point to friendships as well as it is to marriage, right? If you're friends with someone, you are going to pursue them. You want to stay connected. You want community with them. You know, you want to go out to eat from time to time. You want to stay connected. That's how you're feeding that friendship, right? But as Pastor, I believe Michael Todd likes to say, with his word "hot," honest, open, and transparent, it is in that place of hot pursuit that's a whole nother level. You know, that's a whole nother level in marriage, and we are changing year by year. Circumstances change that causes us to change, and in the marriage, and even in the Christian dating unto marriage, our hearts have to be, I desire to see into you so that these things that are changing in you are being revealed. But again, that can only be something targeted when there is intent to marry.
That's
So
so
there's
good.
there's there's the difference, in just dating versus Christian dating. And if it's not time to start walking in that direction, if it's not time to begin pursuing, and even if what you said, Lady T, in regard to someone saying, I don't know, can I trust? Can I trust? If you're in that place, stop.
Right.
If you're in that place of questioning, wondering, doubting, should I? Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I really. Just stop. Just stop, because the other part of this, we have focused on the part about dating, and we've a little bit on the Christian side, but on this Christian side, those of us that we believe God, get a word, get a word from the Lord, like legit, get a word from the Lord. Again, I told you our last episode, I walked away from the first date having to ask God, not because I was like, okay, God, did I just waste my time? No, it was because there was something in my spirit, man, that was leaping. And I was so shocked. I was so like, are you serious? On the first date and on the first girl that I dated in 5, 6 years, that like it's a match? Like this is my real? So it was the question of asking him, God, is this the one? Are you sure this is the one? Like he's not sure. Are you sure this is the one? You know what I mean? If any of that questioning, doubting, whatever's coming up, make sure that's for the father, before the father and no one else.
Right.
Don't
And
let
I
anyone
wanna
else step in to
encourage
convince you.
I was gonna
Go ahead.
say just to jump on to piggyback on that too, we have to
Yeah.
watch too that just because our pastor says it, just because the neighbor next door says it, just because your auntie and cousin them say, "Oh yeah, that's your boo, that's who you should be with." Who you should seek first, who knows you best of all, is God in it. Because like I said, surface stuff can look, the devil copycats. He
Yeah.
copycats everything of God, and
Yeah.
he knows your desires too. He
Hmm.
hears your conversations. He watches how you respond in the presence of that person. He's
Yeah.
watching all that. So
Yeah.
you do have to seek God, like, does is this what covenant looks like for me? Where you're taking me in my season, does that work? And for me, I love and I know that Danny and I were divinely put
Yeah.
together because he's nothing that I would have chose for myself.
Yeah.
And that is what I quit saying, God, this is what I need. I started praying, God, what your desire for me is, let that come my way. And
Hmm.
here comes this little thing that I I tried my best to discourage him. And I'm grateful that God knew better because our purpose meshed. We
Yes.
complement each other in our
Yes.
walk, in our purposes. And I'm grateful for that because it makes it easier for us to do ministry together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's never no competition. He tries to lift me up more than I be trying to, submit and stay low and be like, no, you got the. He'd be like, no, if God is, this is what God. No, dude, come on. What do you
Yes.
need? What can I do?
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
Absolutely.
I would definitely have those conversations. Like this, knowing that where God is taking me in my season. How do you feel about this? Where do you see yourself, years from now, in a relationship? And I think, like I said, if we start having the hard conversations before we get into it, and it's too late, like how do we feel about kids? How do we feel about parents? If I'm a person that's attached to my family, if and you're the type of individual that comes from a broken family and maybe you and your family aren't close, how are we about that? How will you feel about that? How much does your family get involved in your relationships? Even
Yeah.
observing whoever it is that you have taken an interest with their family, because
Yeah.
that right there, I didn't know a lot about my in-laws until I started observing. And then
Hmm.
my mom always says, look at how he treats his mama, because however he treats his mama is what he's gonna think of you. So, and I take that to heart. He's nothing but a mama's boy.
Mm.
And his mama
I,
adored him. So, I mean, and looking at the relationship he had with his siblings and his father
yes.
and stuff kind of gave me a heads up to what I was stepping into. So, do we
Yeah.
even do that? Do they take you around that, what?
I definitely did in my Christian dating, and it was funny. Uh, Thanksgiving, I talk about my tribe, my family. I'm here in Kentucky, Indiana area, but I'm from South Carolina, and so the people that saw Kari the most when we were dating, they were my tribe that was here. But it was imperative because I saw those people as family, it was imperative that I said, okay, we're going over so and so's house. And I just, hey, this is who they are. And I'd walk away and I go out with my bro somewhere and I just leave her there because it was imperative. I wanted to see how was she going to handle herself
We
around my
love Kari.
people. And and
We
and
love
and
her.
you know, and vice versa. And I
Mhm.
have to say this last thing, I know we're coming to time, is that one, we were over your house, Lady T, you and Danny, and it was a night of refuge. And Kari and I were still dating. And I had already heard from the Lord, again, as I tell you all in your Christian dating, get a word here. If you are doubting or whatever, just stop, ask the Lord excellency. So I felt like I heard that. But we got there one night and we were praying and whatever. And Prophetess T, so just nonchalantly in the most small, meek voice. That's y'all know T can be loud and in your face, and we love her for that. But T said, "Oh, by the way, that's your wife." She was the first person to ever say it, and I didn't give her much to say. I didn't say I know. I just sat there and listened to it. And I just kind of whispered under my breath, "Lord, thank you for confirming your word." And so even know that, saints, that in your Christian dating, if you ask, you seek God first, get a word from Him, even in your dating, and if you made a mistake, if you're dating someone that you're not supposed to be dating, He'll let you know that too, and He also will confirm His word, whether that's a word to continue or that's a word to stop. So always press in and listen for that.
And like I said, um, we're just encourage you not to, like we said, we don't want you to damage somebody else because you're not done with your process with God. Because God might be calling you to a moment where He wants to steal away with just you, and the devil will send what you're longing for to distract, to take you off that course. So just make sure you use wisdom in whatever you're doing. And I, like I said, would encourage the petting and stuff. I think that should be almost like eliminated because it can cause some blurry lines to get there and stir up something that maybe you're not ready for. Or maybe if you're a person that's been in a relationship, has had sex, and you've been sitting and you feel like you got a hot pocket, you can you can find yourself going down the wrong road for the wrong reason. So you got to watch that. But Kari is just going on. Yes, he left me. Just left Heather. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You guys. So I mean, we definitely want you to have a healthy relationship. So make sure whoever it is that you're looking or you're desiring, make sure it's of God, first of all. Make sure it's of God. I don't think that uh, you will even be in a relationship with a non believer if it's of God in the first place, because once again, how are they going to understand anything that you're doing or wanting to do if they don't know God for themselves? So I think that at least that's T's opinion. So, but I appreciate you for being vulnerable here with us and open. And I pray that this helps somebody. I truly do pray that it helps somebody. And I just want to encourage parents. This is one of the reasons why we say let's not I mean, be on top of our children. Like when we see those signs, it's time to sit down and have a conversation. And I would even me and what I know now, I would pull both parties in on the conversation and the other set of parents. And we all would be sitting
Yes,
down having a long conversation about
absolutely,
why we're having this conversation. And
absolutely.
because I would want to know what y'all's intent. What is all this? And what's up with the hugging and kissing? Where do you think that's going to lead you? Where's that taking you? Are you ready to buy a home? Are you ready to pay some bills? Are you ready to take care of a child? Are you ready? Because that's the
Ooh,
purpose of dating. Are we
listen,
ready for this? Really?
we're coming to time, and I listen. I Let me just say this. I think about, I hear people say in dating, "Oh, so and so was my first love." Was he really? Was
Mhm.
she really? And here's why I say this, because we remember, again, Christian dating. we remember Book of Revelation, and he says, you know, you've done all this great, and all this has been fine, whatever. I think it might be Revelation 5, I'm not sure. But he says, but I've got this one ought against you. And he advises us, come back to your first love.
I don't want to go back to my first love.
And that's because it's like it never was your
In
it
the name of
wasn't even your
Jesus.
love. So
No,
so
no,
what
no,
so
no, no,
what e-
no.
so what even am I saying there is that even in Christian dating, be careful
Right.
that you don't even release the words "I love you"
Whoo,
before it's time.
sir.
Because even the weight behind the words, if you're saying "I love you" and that's not the one, you've just opened yourself up to something that you weren't ready for.
Amen. This was so good, you guys. Oh my God, like so good. I love bruh because he communicates so eloquently and so well. And he stirs up every time we get together. My baby be judo kicking because he makes me think, and he makes me look at things from a and I'd be like, he's so freaking deep. I want to get up there where he at. Move over on the cloud. Make room for
Come
me
on now.
so I
Come
can
on.
see
Come
it from
on.
that aspect. Give me some
Come
clarity,
on.
Jesus. I want that. He makes me
Oh,
desire more
Lord.
of God because he looks at things from a perspective that it just blows my mind. That's why I love him. He will always be in my life no matter what. We're shackled.
Absolutely.
So, Kari, you got to make room. I know you and Danny be looking at me and him when we but y'all just got to make room for this. Um, but I want to continue this, like I said, since we're in the month of love, exciting, and you knew I was going there, Danny. Anyways, but I want to bring a female on next week, and I don't want to kill her name, but sh- I know it's Rebecca, but her last name's Gital. But Rebecca and her husband, they've been married, I think, 15 years or so. But their relationship is unique in the aspect, like I said, that they dated overseas for 2 years. And this is the crazy thing about how their relationship started. Sorry, I'm just gonna give you this little tidbit. They were in ministry together. So like they came together at some point while doing missions, and he watched and observed her. He watched her from afar. So, and oh, I love you too. So, you're not getting rid of me. I'm like a tick on a wet dog. But I think that do we do that? Do we take the time to really sit back and watch somebody? Have you seen, do you allow them to see you in your most vulnerable moment? And like you said, can they handle the weight of that? And I think that when we're young, we haven't even got into the weight of that, you know? Because we're still in that everything's beautiful. Oh, you farted. That's cute. But let's get into the weight of it. Like, what if you have to change my diaper or clean me up? If I end up in a hospital, but are you ready for the weight of that? What does Megan say? I cannot, my
Megan says, "It's like I cared for my first boyfriend. I had my senior of high school. We went our separate ways and I prayed and listened to God, and it's like he is leading me and him in talking again. Could be more later, but it's in God's hand and he agreed. He has a close relationship with his parents and siblings."
well, like we were saying, make sure you take it to the Lord, and it's what God is showing you, and have conversations. I think we need to be truthful with somebody about if I mean honestly, like he said, I told her on the second date when the first day me and God had a little conversation, I put it out there for this, and this is what it is. And I think too, when we're a little older, if we take it from the aspect of an adult age person dating, we kind of get set in our ways too, when we get like past our 30s. We kind of set in our ways, especially if you've been single for a while. You need to think about that too. Life's gonna be a whole lot different when, like, Rich said, like 5, 6, 7, there was a big spurt, you know, between him and her. So now the ideal that I gotta share space with somebody after being, get going and coming as I please. you know, you can't think with the single mentality now. You got to change that. And are you going to be good with that? So,
Right.
yeah, make sure. And I think too, if I had to, if I felt like I was going to get serious about somebody, I would want somebody that I've seen fruit. I would not ask a single person or somebody that just came out of a bad marriage any advice on relationship. I would look for somebody with wisdom and some investment, healthy investment to go to. And our spiritual parents, their ministry is relationships, dealing with widows, divorced, newlyweds, those that that's their ministry. And I watched them for the longest, before even they became our spiritual parents. And I knew God had called because man, she read my book and I was embarrassed because she knew my truth and she tells us the truth. But get them to walk alongside, pray with you, um, believe God with you, and just use wisdom. Don't be so in a rush. And for those of y'all that are confused, there is nothing wrong with being single. If you, I think was it Paul that said it best? It's good. You can do ministry better when you're single, because once you get into a relationship, now you got to try to figure out the balancing of that. And are you ready to do that? So, I hope this helped you guys. Briston, once again, I want to thank you and your family, Kari. I know you trying to get to your mama's cooking. uh,
And
Thank you for letting us steal a little time away from you. I heard the babies in the background a little bit. I can't wait.
oh, hope it wasn't too bad. Sorry.
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Okay. Okay.
It just lets us know you got a healthy family going on over there. His
Oh,
family, we
ossified.
appreciate all you guys. Thank you, mom and siblings. Thank you guys for allowing us to steal him away for a little bit. This was much needed, and I hope that this gets you guys that are in marriage ministries or at your own church homes to start having these conversations. We need to get together and we need to talk about this. Men getting together and discuss their frustrations of how to get into choosing a man that findeth a good thing. How does that process work? Women, you being prepared to be the good thing that the man finds. I think we need that again in the house too, if that's what we're gonna do. Because I really believe if we're ready to be married, then we need to do everything we can to be healthy, to be in a healthy relationship. And that all first starts with having a healthy relationship with our Lord and Savior. So, again, if you had any last words or any advice you can share before we close out, what would you do? What would it be?
Hmm.
See, he's up there on the cloud, y'all.
Um, the last word that I would give you, even in Christian dating, from the perspective of male and the perspective of female, is recognize this, that even in the dating phase, you should be each other's platform. You should be each other's platform, be able to stand on the shoulders of each other, um, no matter what.
That's it.
And if one caves, you need to take a few steps back and reassess what you're in. If one rejects and says, no, you don't have a place to stay in here, you don't have a place to be yourself, you don't have a place to be raw in your emotions, you don't have a place um, to even operate in your gifting, hear that, then you need to take a few steps back and reassess. You should be a platform for each other.
Take the red flags. The little fox is serious. The first time I see a red flag, I think that's a automatic. You need to step back and take it to the Lord automatically. It should odd first sign, not that maybe if you gotta say that, step back. Okay, I got too excited. Woo. Okay, that's the Lord saying, "Shut up, girl." Anyways, you guys, thank you for tuning in to I Got Favor. I'm really joking. Where it is your time to shine. With me, your hostess, Prophetess T, and our guest. I wanted to go out and say bye. Briston Burns. Danny's like, don't die on TV before everybody, girl. But yeah, guys, I think first red flag, you need to step back and really Sela and meditate. So this was good. Thank you again. I'm probably
Absolutely.
gonna bring you back because we're gonna get into some other relationships. Bruh is real comfortable with going there with me. I do believe I'm gonna bring Briston back in the month of March if he can check his calendar. And we're gonna
Okay.
get into another topic. Don't know what it is yet, but we'll tell y'all when it happens. So guys, have a blessed evening. And in the words of my favorite vegan, honey, go on and have yourself a good day. And if you can't, don't go messing up nobody else. Be blessed. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
We thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time to shine with Prophetess T.